Hi, everyone that's on our page, the Self-Love Exodus. We are here to do our weekly live show, Self-Love Exodus Live, where we talk about anything related to healing, anything related to self-love. And the topic today is how's pandemic life tested you? That is the question. And because we're human, it tested us in many ways. So we have Lena joining us here from HAP. So hi, Lena. What's up? So let's get into it. Hallie, how would you say it's tested you? In what areas, and why is this standing out so much to you? Hi, Joe.
Well, I think that any area that we've intentionally been making a lot of growth and progress and dedication because it was a weak spot for us or a spot that created a lot of pain, and so maybe even prior to pandemic, we were on it. It was like the thing we were really focused on transforming and healing and growing and strengthening. And those are the areas that I think are really fragile for us right now in pandemic life. So for me, one of my main zones that has been kind of a pain zone is my interpersonal relationships with kind of avoidant style people. So people that aren't readily available for communication. People with like poor communication skills, basically. This has been such a theme for me. Looking at there and then
I know. Hi.
So our eye contact is going to be kind of funny because we have the two devices. But anyways, so this has been an area that I've suffered a lot in and have healed a lot in and grown a lot in and developed a lot of awareness and a lot of learning and education of attachment style and what it means, like why we're drawn to certain characteristics. So this has been a huge area of study for me.
I love how you said area of study, because you're allowing yourself to actually observe and like learn from it and keep on digging into it to see like, hey, what is it?
Yeah,
right?
I had to, because it was so painful. It was so painful for me to keep finding myself attracted to people who can't text back, things like that. So anyways, pandemic life has freaking tested me in this because, I'm single. I live alone. I am not having any physical touch in my life right now at all.
Yeah.
And I have an inclination toward being attracted to unavailable style types of avoidant people.
Who can relate?
Right. And because I'm not out in the world meeting new people and kind of after I've done all of that learning and all of that education, and this was really happening right around the pandemic time where I was becoming very aware of my patterning, very aware of what I no longer want to do anymore for myself. And then it was like pandemic and we're like cut off from making new connections, basically.
Wow. Yeah.
So then, there's like
cut off from that kind of connection, right?
That kind of connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been tested. I've been tested and tempted and have had to go through well, maybe I can have a connection that's with someone who's not totally available because I have no other connection. So maybe that, is better than nothing. Until I find myself exploring that again, and it's freaking frustrating and really annoying and painful. And I'm like, wait a minute, actually, nothing is better than that. So, because at least with the nothing, I can self-regulate my own experience, and I'm not on the roller coaster of someone else's, inconsistent style of communicating.
Right. You said something, you kind of refined your, like, what were you being tested on? You said you were about to compromise. What was it? You said you're about to compromise the ways that that
I need to feel safe in connections.
Yeah. Right.
Like basically my most basic needs, my most basic need in an intimate connection is reliable communication. Number one, bare minimum basic need. And I was like, well, do I really need that? I don't know if I really need that. Maybe I don't totally need that. Maybe I can just like fill in with so much self-love that I don't totally need that until I dip my toe back into that pool. And I'm like, oh no, I totally need that. Actually, I totally need that.
It's really standing up for like what I'm hearing is like where you feel really safe to connect. So let's take a moment here. We're going to say hi to the people on Haps right now / Facebook. So there's someone here from Los Angeles. Oh, Pablo. Hello. And we have Yazine from St. Petersburg. Hello. We have Jim, who I know from the Periscope world. Hi, Jim. He's in Chicago. He says in Chicagoland. Lena, the struggle for clean air has been my biggest struggle. Can you elaborate on that? The struggle for clean air. So are you referring to because of the pandemic, you've had to stay in more and where you're at doesn't have clean air and that's affecting you? Can you elaborate on that, Lena? Thank you for sharing. Hi, Peter from Seattle. Hello. Hi. Yes, we're very happy to be here for the second time. And then someone this is connected to my Periscope, which is connected to Twitter because they bought it out or something. Thank goodness for President Trump and the speedy of vaccinations. Okay. Peter, I had the key is self-love. Quinn was focused on self-love transparent well before COVID kicked in. That is so key. Yeah, that is key, right? Like making sure you bring in the growth into, even if there's a pandemic, even if there's outside things going on. Okay.
So, yes. Quinn, how have you been tested by the pandemic?
Jeez. I relate with you on the like what I had going on before the pandemic. There was a lot of growth, and before the pandemic, this was kind of like my focus. I was committed to so many working out studios. I was rock climbing. I had a membership to the rock climbing place. I had a membership to, because my partner teaches there too, but to a spin studio. And then also yoga. That's the membership. I bought like the 10-day pass thing for Zuda yoga. And then I would spend time at the park to jog. I was in my tip-top like physical shape, I want to say, and I felt the strength in that and how much like mental clarity that brought me. So when the pandemic hit, those studios were closed. My physical activity went down. And I realized there was so much space that I was able to create because of those workouts that I started to see myself having less space, And on top of that, financially, there was a big shift as well. I needed to find a part-time job. And so, when you make a trade-off like that, that means a chunk of your time is now being put somewhere else. And so I saw my self-love. I mean, it was still there, but I just saw it, that the space that I had dwindle, and I started to get frustrated. And there was a time where I kept on saying yes to taking on more hours. I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, that's fine. And so you saw me go through this where I saw myself getting more irritable. I saw myself getting more irritated, and I saw the ways that I showed up even in my relationship. I started to be more like a little more sensitive, like the jokes, the space for the joking and stuff like that dwindled a little bit. So I just saw myself like, okay, I was tested to my commitment to self-love and like my commitment for making sure that I still put in that time. And I needed to have a real serious conversation with myself, because if I'm going to fight for my self-love time, I need to really look at, okay, how many hours do I actually really need? Like how much is going to cover for me with what I was earning in my business, and also without what I was getting at the part-time job. So it really tested my my thinking, my processing, and what was really important. I needed to have that conversation with myself again. Quinn, you're a self-love coach. Like, are you really being about it right now? Or have you allowed some things to enter into your life that is now taking away that space, that time? So yeah, I was tested of my own self-commitment to self-love. and how much of it is a priority for me, and how am I showing that I am sticking for my self-love time. Because a lot of us, we're going to say yes to the financial wins, and then we forget, oh, wait a minute, am I losing myself a little bit here? And and a big thing that I saw pre-pandemic was that I had a bunch of space to be there for my family. And right, I saw that dwindle too. I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good. So yeah, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, just when you said we'll say yes to the financial wins, or we'll say yes to the things that provide a short-term gratification, right? We'll say yes to the things that give us like a little rush of endorphins. And we'll often sacrifice the things that we actually need for just inner peace and inner well-being, and that more sustained energy in order to manifest the bigger dreams and visions that we have for ourselves. And I think that pandemic life has tested this for a lot of people, right? We're home, we're bored. I think a lot of people will, are turning to the substances that kind of are their weakness because we're home and we're bored and we're lonely, or we're understimulated, basically. Or we'll turn to the screens and the devices and the media and social media and these things, the drama of the world, even if it contradicts with what we need for peace. So it's such a powerful time to fight, to
fight for our peace.
To fight and resist the things that cause disharmony within ourselves, because we have every temptation,
Yes. Yeah, right. What are your temptations?
And we know ourselves well.
Only you know.
And it's okay. Like I like to smoke weed sometimes, and sometimes that is a nice way for me to just like get into my body, get into my evening, get into my painting, whatever it is. But when it gets out of balance, I'm also really aware.
Yes, right. We need to be aware. Yeah, my temptation is like leaving the TV on, watching all these movies. I will not watch a show. I know there's so many good shows out there, but this is where we're tested. Yes. And I remember that there was that one time we both binge watched. What was it? The Love
is Blind. We had headaches.
We had the hangover from binge watching. I was like, okay, you see what I traded off here? We're human, right? We are freaking human. And you're absolutely right about like, that's when the awareness comes on, right? Right. Let's see. Let's respond back to some comments. Lena says, yes, being indoors has changed my air needs and my body is quite sensitive. Then the fires. Oh, you see how we totally forgot about the fires. My body's quite sensitive than the fires, and without air circulation, it was really messing with my anxiety, right? So it makes me think of our environments. Like, is our environment set up for us to win, to keep our peace? Whether it's for your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. Jim says, when you get tested, the key is to approach one issue at a time. Don't try to take on all of your worries at one time. For sure, that's going to mess with the overwhelmingness. And that's how I've approached life. It's like, okay, let's keep it simple. Can we keep it simple so we don't drown in our own overwhelmness? Brandon from Facebook. Hi, Brandon. In the air pandemic, you either sink or swim. I like that, right? Again, nailing it very, very, very simple. Are you sinking with the temptations? Are you continuing swimming in the growth, right? And let's not compare, right? We can only do the best that we can right now.
Yeah, and one day we can be experiencing sinking, and then the next day we're like, all right, it's time to self-regulate here. It's time to make some new choices, and it might take a little while to get back into the swim.
Yeah,
but we can change our experience.
Yes, we can. Definitely possible. Jem says, turn off the television and mute the news feed. Yes, yes, yes. My parents, I will say my dad, loves to leave CNN on. I get it. He wants to be in tune. He wants to know what's going on in the world. And there's times where I said, hey, can we watch a movie instead during dinner? It'll be on during dinner. And then he's been down for it. So sometimes you have to insert make a suggestion,
option.
a new option to see if they'd be down. And yeah, that's what it makes me think of. Like, right. And it's just being super hyper aware of your environment. Hyper aware. Is this actually causing me more stress, or can we tune into something more positive while we're spending time together? I feel like with the news, I mean, I'm someone who's always tuned off from the news for years. I'm sure you, years. I can't. And because, I live at home with my parents, they'll leave it on. And, with being on social media more, see, that's another thing that tempts me away from being centered is social media. It'll take me away. And oh my God. And with a lot of the, social justice issues this year, I've tuned in a little bit, but then I realize, you've got to have a healthy boundary with it. Is it causing you more stress, or can you walk away from it just being well-informed and then going on with your day? So I've realized once I hear the points that they're making or whatever, okay, I'll take that in, and then I need to move on with my day. Because then on the news, what they'll do is they'll interview this person, what they think about it, interview this person, what do you think is going to happen? What's your opinion on this? And blah, 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 blah. And it's just circulating the message that they have already made. So that's just me personally. That's just how I've approached it. I was like, it's nice to be informed, and I'm not going to allow it to take up all of my time.
Yeah, and that's just one of these areas that we have to be really honest with ourselves.
Yes.
How much news, how much world action can we take in through our senses without becoming stressed?
Yes.
Without taking it on.
Yep.
Some have higher tolerances than others. Yes. I have a very, very, very low tolerance for it. So I can only take in the tiny. My way of doing it is I have some friends who are very well informed.
Yes.
Who have beautiful voices. And I'm just like, tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Fast and quick.
And I love that. I
want to hear it from your beautiful frequency voice, because that I can receive. I don't want to hear it from the news pundits. I don't want to see it on social media.
Yeah.
So we all have the ways that we need to receive the updates.
Yes.
And if we can't receive the updates, no judgment.
Right.
If not receiving the updates keeps you in your power and in your peace, then don't receive the updates.
Right.
There's always going to be drama in the world.
Yeah.
To absorb.
Thank you, Hallie. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Brandon says, I could have fallen to temptation, but rather I renounced more habits and pursued more self-love. See, and so with your answer, Brandon, I can tell that you've been through this process many, 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 many times, where once it happens, you're able to process that and be like, oh, self-love, self-love, self-love. Okay, let's look at my habits. I love that. Jim says, to me, all of the primetime news networks are opinion/editorial programs designed to make viewers take sides instead of reporting what is going on in the world. Lena says, gotta go. Lunch is ending. Thank you for tuning in, Lena. If it's not news, it's propaganda. Jim says, by the way, us little people fight with each other and the news networks, the politicians, the advertisers stay in power. Are you guys partners? We are partners in creation.
Yeah.
We are.
We're not love partners,
yes.
But we're creative partners.
Yes, and we teach, we're big advocates of loving oneself, advocates of love. Jesse says, it's false narratives, not news. Yes. Oof, right. And that makes me think of like, well, what will you watch? Do we take it all in as 100% truth, or we take it by a grain of salt and then we focus on our truths? And that's something that I held on while there was a lot of things being portrayed on social media and the news is, you know what? I need to stick to my truth and be okay with that. And my truth is love is the answer, meaning the love that's created from within ourselves is the answer. Because anytime when I see hate or pain, projection, I mean, I can name it and it could look in a very big way outside in this world. And I just stick to like, you know what, this is why I need to continue on with my self-love, actually.
Yeah.
We both talked about this. And I was like, this is where we're going to serve.
It's true. I mean,
healing.
The crazier it gets out there, the more important it is to be solid and sound in here. Because somebody's got to hold down some light.
Somebody's got to hold down some space, some safe spaces.
And everything's okay, and we can trust life, and we can trust ourselves. You know? Yeah. So let's stick to our truths, and let's identify what our temptations are, what takes us away from our center, and is your environment set up for you to win, to keep your inner peace?
That's what's coming up for me. Like boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to end this, well, how would you end this? Like last messages.
My last message would be like love the one who gets tempted.
Love it.
Love the one who gets tempted, and give yourself space and compassion and a process to make healthier choices.
Love it. Boom. Jim says, well said, Hallie.
Oh,
He said that
Jim.
earlier too. Well said. On point, right? On point. This is why we're partners in creation, right? Jesse says, fear is never the answer, and that's the agenda today. Fear can control us. I'll tell you that. Fear. So that's why we're here, going live every single week, bringing about important topics to be addressed so that we can be more aware and make the best decisions for ourselves. And hope you enjoyed today's topic. Continue to leave comments, and we'll see you next week. Much love. Toodaloo. Peace and progress. Peace and progress. We'll see you all. Bye. Oh, and if you are curious about what we offer, go to selfloveexcess.com. Selfloveexcess.com.
We have a workshop tonight.
Yes.
There's 2 tickets left.
Yep, 2 tickets left, and we host a donation-based meditate and conversate session, virtual, once a week. All right, selfloveexcess.com. Bye. Yay! Cool stuff. Oh, it's still going. End. Have